I once tried one of those 5-hour energy drinks, and I've never
Yeah.
touched one again. Those are horrible.
Me neither.
They're
I tried
horrible.
that one time, and I remember back then I was doing my PhD, and I took one of those 5-hour energies. I couldn't sleep. Like, I was so pumped. I had so much energy, but then I could feel my heart like beating so
going
fast.
up. Oh.
I got scared.
It has helped me understand what the professor was trying to ask. So when I took his current exams, I was better trained to get a good grade.
Practicing, yeah.
Practicing is another one. So it's also important to know your limits. Everybody has limits, and don't feel guilty for asking vacation or sick leave.
Oh my God, yes. We've been having so much troubleshooting.
It's part of the game. It's part of the game.
Yes. So what's up, students? I'm Dr. Gonzalez, and today we have a very special guest. It is my pleasure to introduce you to my great friend, Erica. And we have known each other since we were doing our bachelor's degree back in 2005, but let's not talk about years. I'm just so happy, and thank you for collaborating with me.
An intro song, trying to.
I like
Not
it.
the best singer.
I like it. So the purpose of today is to just go over some questions. I'm going to be interviewing my friend Erica because I feel like she has such great input in terms of student tips and student success. So without further ado, let's just begin.
So my name is Erica. I'm currently a third-year graduate student doing my PhD in nutrition at Ohio State University. Yay! It's yay, but at the same time, it's like, yay. Anyways, so like Mariví said, we known each other since our bachelor's degree, and I did mine in chemistry at the University of Puerto Rico in Calle. After that, I did a master's degree in the medical science campus in Puerto Rico as well, in the area of pharmaceutical sciences. And during those years, so for all of you that are listening, not everybody has great experiences in their bachelor's degree. I know people say that those are the best years of your life. Those weren't the best years of my life. Not for a lack of trying, I have to say. But I had a really hard time during my bachelor's degree. I was working a part-time job. During the summer, it was a full-time job. But
I remember in the movie theater you were working.
Yeah, I worked 4 years in Caribbean cinemas. It was fun. I still have one of the burns in my arms. Yay! For the popcorn.
With the popcorn.
It's the popcorn. It's worth it though. But I after that, since I didn't do as well as my peers, I was advised to actually go into doing a master's. I applied for a bunch of PhD programs. I didn't get accepted. So I wanted to prove that I could endure graduate courses. And so I did my master's, and I did research in the area of drug development in breast cancer. So I really had to learn as trial and error. If anyone's ever felt in that position, totally normal sometimes. Don't give up. That's how you learn. Actually, I'm a pretty good learner during experience of what I'm doing in that time. So it was an eye-opener for me to push that envelope of showing that I could do the master's degree. And it was
learning
also very
by practicing. That's one of the
learning by practicing. If you feel like you don't know what the heck you're doing, a lot of people feel like that. That's normal, actually.
Oh my God, yes.
A lot of people don't know what in the world they're doing at all. However, nowadays you have, Google, you use YouTube. That's a very good
Right.
that saves lives.
I love
YouTube
that advice.
has
Thank you for
saved my
sharing
life.
it.
And another important thing was um, we had what we call ayudancia, which was not a lot of money at all. I didn't even give you a break to pay rent, barely
My God.
groceries.
$300 a month. It's not enough for anybody. No, it's not
No,
enough.
and in case you don't know, since we're from originally from Puerto Rico, born and raised there, the sales tax is 11.5. That's a
Wow.
lot. So yeah, you have to be able to work with your money as best as possible. There's just so much ramen noodles
Literally
you can eat.
stretching each dollar
Dollar is
to like
necessary.
survive. That's the
I wish
Hunger
I could go like
Games.
this, but no, that doesn't.
No, it's literally
It
the
does not
Hunger
work.
Games.
Yes. Like
Wow.
every time you see like a discount, I mean, they had, I think it was Taco Tuesday in across from the university, and the tacos were like $1. That was the best. And I think the drinks, even though they were like plastic little small glasses, it was
Yeah. Or the
also
value
$1.
menu. The
The value menu.
Wendy's value menu, Burger King's value menu, whatever type of $1
And I would
value menu.
also go to the Chinese restaurant for lunch
Oh
because
my God.
they was enough for $5, and that would give you lunch
The whole combo.
and dinner. You have to learn where to eat to stretch that dollar.
Yeah, this is gonna be so relatable. So just keep going. This is gold.
So I was working 3 jobs. Other than, well, it was the research lab, and then I started a job as a tutor, winning $10 an hour, but I had to go to the students to their houses, and so you have to account for that didn't account for gas nor tolls. That's another thing. And then I had an online job to help students with their homework assignments, which is really interesting. But it helped pay the bills because I really encourage students to take an opportunity to tutor or teach a class, even if you're trying to do a TA. It actually helps you dominate it even more, learn new things. And if you're interested in going into the academia aspect, it helps you know how to teach. Not everybody learns the same way or the same pace. So it helps you more understand what your strengths are and also your weaknesses. I feel sometimes like teachers and professors don't get paid enough because it's a hard job. It's a hard job. Then, other than that, during my master's, I got the chance to do a 1-year co-op. For those who don't know what that is, it's an opportunity for you as a student to work in the industry, so you get paid. And most of the time, you can also get benefits, certain benefits. And I was there for 1 whole year in the area of product development. And after that, I went to another co-op for a pharmaceutical industry called Neo Pharma. And after I finished my master's, temporarily because I defended, but I still hadn't submitted the written one to be able to give me my diploma. So they passed me as a temporary job, and then after that, I decided to work as a contractor, and I worked as a contractor for 3 years in Pfizer Pharmaceuticals. And during that time, Hurricane Maria hit, so I wasn't able to submit my written until December 2017.
That was such a devastating time for a lot of people.
For everybody that suffered that, I feel you. It was a really hard time, and it helps you see what you're built for in trying to sustain what the devastation that leaves. And it was really hard for me in every aspect, emotionally, mentally, in my work. And after that, I stayed in Pfizer, but I then, by 2018, my old boss that I worked with in MD Anderson Cancer Center, because during my master's, I got the opportunity to also do another summer internship. And she actually reached out to me and told me if I was interested in doing a PhD. And I told her that I was. So I started applying. I got accepted with fellowships. Yay.
Yay.
And I went to do a PhD, having been at least 3 years without being in academia and around 5 years without taking a class. So doing that move from working full-time job, winning good money, to go back and having enough just to pay your bills, and having to go back into study mode and taking classes and going back into research per se, because I hadn't touched a micropipette in years, or done Western blotting or qPCR or anything. It was a very big challenge not to go back into that mindset. And some people don't realize that in that gap of, oh, you're really young going into the university versus, oh my God, I'm in my 30s going into the university. Can I keep up with the other students? Can I do enough? How am I going to sustain myself? So it's really being motivated and being goal driven to what you want to do and set that. And that's what I've been doing for the past 3 years coming here.
I love that you just share all of that, because I feel like your story, it's very much relatable to a lot of students, especially the students that are doing maybe master's degree or PhD.
I've met people, especially my master's, which I've had friends that are already married and have kids, or they got this great opportunity in a job, they're winning good money, and they get frustrated because trying to balance that work, job, family versus school, it's really demanding. So you have to know what is it that you want to do. And it is very possible to study and take care of your family and at the same time work a full-time job. It really took me longer because I was working a full-time job and trying to finish my master's. So I encourage people to remember, it doesn't matter how long it takes you. Like, right. If you decide to take just one class, one semester, then you take one class, one semester, or you take two. Just know what your limits are to be able to get to that goal that you want at the end. Because it doesn't matter if somebody did it in 3 years, what normally it could take you 5. If it takes you 5, then it took you 5, but you finished. It's really important to always remember that.
And in that, moving on that same area, can you tell us if it has there been a time where you struggled in a class, or the class didn't go as you planned, and what did you do to kind of like overcome those struggles?
I only had that problem once now in my PhD. It was a physics class. I've never not physics. It was physiology. I've never taken physiology, and
was it an elective class, or was it?
I have to have some credits for physiology, but I was taking another course that was more important to me based on the material. The one that I was taking was just an introductory course, and later I learned that I didn't need it, and I wasn't doing very good in it. It was online. This pandemic has taught me that I don't like online classes. Whoever does online classes, I salute you. It's not easy. It's not my cup of tea. But I decided to drop it, because you have to balance between, if I don't do well, it's going to drop my GPA, especially for a PhD program. You have to have a 3.0 up. And you're like, well, if this class is not that important, or if you're not doing very well, you're not going to get a C up or something, or even a C, then just drop it. A W is not going to tint that. One W is not going to really get you into such a big trouble. what the problem would be if you have more than 3Ws, then programs are gonna be like, why is this person not consistent and getting so many drops, or what's the matter? But just one W, if in a class that is going to really affect your grade point average, then just drop it. I also had classes in my bachelor's where I just was doing bad, and I would try to go to the professor and speak with the professor, but it's just, there's going to be instances where sometimes I realized that I wasn't really understanding the material, but it was mainly based on how the professor was teaching it. Because I would take that same material with another professor and I would do good. I was taught that you weren't a grade in high school. And I have almost a 4.0 in high school. So when I went to college and having my grades started to slip, it was a wake-up call, and it was hard, especially when you have professors that look at you as a grade and don't want to bother with helping you understand the material because they have 2 or 3 students that are overachievers and are doing excellent, and those are the ones that are worth putting the effort in. So that's something that sometimes you might have to deal with it and show that even if these other students are doing well, you're worth the effort. And people are going to push you down because of it, but you can't define yourself for that.
That's so true. I feel like it's mostly a competition, but against yourself, not against anybody else, because sometimes, you know, we get frustrated that, you know, oh, so this person is doing better than me, oh, this other person it's getting straight A's, why am I not there? You know, and everybody is so different. You know, you might excel at something, but this other person will not, and then vice versa. You know, we all have different fortes. So I think that that's one of the things that you have to explore in your own person, right? You cannot compare. I guess what I'm saying is that you cannot compare yourself with other persons, right?
No, because I've had friends that really want to be straight A's in graduate courses, but I've also had friends that don't care. They're like, I just want to make sure I pass the class.
I just want to pass.
Just want to pass. Like, I just want to have enough to maintain the GPA, and that's it. So you shouldn't compare yourself. There's no point in comparing yourself. It's just a waste of time.
So going from there, can you tell us a little bit more about what do you feel are your best study tips to succeed in class?
For starters, I've always been told that you should study in groups. That's good and it's not good at the same time, because when you study in groups, you could get frustrated that somebody knows more than you or understands more than you, and it's harder for you to keep up. So you have to remember, okay, if you're going to study in groups, if there's something you don't understand, then studying in groups might help, because somebody can explain it to you and you bounce back and forth with the information for you to learn it. And that has helped me up to a certain point. However, I'm more of a person that likes to study by myself, and I'm very visual.
I'm the same. I feel like I have to agree with you.
I'm very visual, so I like, if there's a material I don't understand, I will look for it. And YouTube there, as I mentioned before, has helped me a lot, because even though I'm studying nutrition, I'm not nutrition based. So I had a professor that was explaining things as if you already had a base for it. So there were things he was talking about that I had no idea what he meant, and he would throw certain meanings and words that I was like, why? I don't understand. Where is this coming from? So it's important for you to establish a base. It's the same thing with math. Some people can't understand some advanced math, but it's because they probably don't understand very well, for example, the order of operations. If you don't dominate that, there's a lot of math in the future you won't be able to understand why it's there. It's not a matter of just doing it. It's a matter of also understanding it. So my tips are, if it helps you to understand the material, study in groups. If it doesn't, study, isolate yourself, but really study. Take yourself mini breaks, because the phone might be pinging, or I don't know, there's something outside and that's really distracting. But it's really when you need to crunch, like set your mind that, okay, for the next 3 hours, I'm going to study this amount of stuff. I have to understand this. Make yourself little goals. Don't think of the overall goal, because you might get frustrated because, oh my God, the exam is in 3 days and I still don't understand all this, and you're just going to panic, and it's going to be really hard for you to be successful in what you're trying to do. And the other thing is, if you don't understand something, if you have a question, it doesn't matter what everybody thinks, ask.
Yes.
You have to ask, especially if you're doing research. If you think you know how to do something, don't think. Know that you know how to do something, because that's time you're spending, that's money that you're spending,
oh my God,
and
yes.
you're not gonna get it back.
Right.
It's really important. And if you have questions, just write the process down and have somebody look at it and tell you, wait, why are you adding this amount of volume here? Where did you get this number? To make sure somebody else corroborates what you think is right.
Yeah.
Always write everything down.
I love that tip. Writing things down, it's also a great way to actually integrate that information into your brain, because you actually have to do the work, so
yes.
That process helps.
I'm the type of person that I need a certain order of things. If you start giving me a bunch of different information, but can't see how they stick together, it's like having a bunch of, I feel like it's the Matrix, just a bunch of information around, and I'm not going to be able to make heads or tails of it. So please don't do that. And you're going to have professors that are like that. I had a professor that she would start on this side of the board, and then she would jump on the other corner, and then she'd be like, oh wait, I forgot to explain something else, and she will go back, and I'm like, oh my God,
going order, please.
Like what? No, like I can't, and I have to have a certain order of things to be able to make sense of the whole information. And I'm very bad. I don't know about you. I know that you have like the pen, and there's a bunch of stuff nowadays, but I'm so horrible at note taking. I have words. I don't write sentences. I'm bad.
One thing to do, if your professors post the presentations, one thing that they can do is just print out the presentations ahead of time if you have the opportunity. I remember I used to do that in grad school. I printed out the PowerPoints, and what I did was I would have the PowerPoint slide, and I would just write down number 1, number 2, especially if the professor would just go back and forth, then I would just do 1, 2, 3, 4, and in that way I would just follow the way that he or she was teaching, and then I could add just little notes on the side, like this is so important, or I highlighted, or whatever helps. Or if he or she said something that it was not included on the PowerPoint, I would just write it down on the side of the
oh my God, you highlight it. Are you the type of person that has like 10 different highlighters, and depending if it's a definition, it's a pink, or if it's something important, it's a blue? Oh my God, the colors how do you study like this?
Well, I mean, the colors would help me just identify. I wouldn't have too many colors, because then it would make me just crazy. But some people actually do that. Like they have a lot of colors, and each color is something different. And that's amazing. I mean, if it works for you, I usually had like just the yellow one and the pink one. And unless I run out of those, then I would use the green one. The green one was my least favorite.
Blue one was my least favorite. And
yeah.
then I would get frustrated with the yellow because I felt like it would eat my eyesight. I was like,
Oh, so you
the
prefer
yellow.
the pink?
I would go with pink or orange.
Oh, I forgot about orange. Yeah.
Orange was my favorite. It was either pink or orange because sometimes I would get a green highlighter and I'm like, dark. Like
How
I want to see the important.
How nerd do we have to be in order to have a favorite specific color of highlighter? We're just discussing
If that's not
highlighters.
frustrating enough, so I tried both in grad school. So I would take my laptop and I would take notes in the PowerPoint because they already uploaded it.
Oh, that's another great alternative.
I liked it partially because I could do it faster. But again, I'm not a very good note taker. Like, I guess I get frustrated because I want to just write everything down. And because I'm trying to write everything down, I forget half of the way and then they're already discussing something else. So yeah, I'm really bad at that. But I also tried printing them out, which I felt really bad because then I'm doing a lot of trees and, a lot of paper around. And I would write everything. So I gave up, and what I would do was one professor, he would record himself, and I would sit down after class and listen to him and write everything down. And whatever I didn't understand, I would go to YouTube and I would listen to different other professors to fill in the gaps.
It's kind of like, yeah.
And that helped me a lot. I remember I had an exam, and this was me in the exam. I got an F, but I had a friend that fell asleep in one exam. It literally fell asleep.
How do you fell asleep on one exam? Has there been anything that you wish you knew when you begin your career, like or something that you learned the hard way as a student?
I really like to meet people. One of my sisters tells me like, oh, we could go shopping at a grocery store, and you're starting to talk to the person right next to you. I'm like,
that's so good. I love that because you never know who you are meeting, and that person could be your future employer, right? Well, thank you, Erica, for your time. I really appreciate everything that you have shared with us and the students and everybody watching. Thank you, everybody, for watching our video. I hope you enjoy it. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share. If you have any comments or suggestions, you can comment down below. And you can also check my other videos where I always teach, more study tips. And I have, of course, my anatomy and physiology videos. And more content like this is gonna continue to come to my YouTube channel. All right.
Bye, guys.
Bye, y'all.